Yo,
Hey, what's going on?
what's good with you, man?
Nah, what's up, man? Joe, what's up, man? Joe, you on?
Hello, you.
Yeah, what's up, man?
What's going on, fam?
Not much, man. You know what I mean? Oh,
I hear you,
this,
man.
this dude, see this dude Calvin ain't on here. This dude Calvin be wilding, man. So like he's gonna get on.
Yo,
Yeah,
what's good
man.
with you, man?
What's going on, bro?
No much, man. How you been, man?
Been, man, getting better, man, getting better, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
What's up,
How's
bro?
that? How's everything with you?
Pretty good, man. One day at a time, man.
Yeah, how the job is?
Well, it's all right, man. Just trying to get used to that, too, bro. Everything's
Yeah.
brand new.
Man, get used to it, then.
Yeah, man. Same, man.
I hear you.
Yeah,
That was
man. Yeah, man. Hold on real quick. I'm putting this thing on here right now. Let's see. You guys can see it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. All right, so I know it's been like a couple weeks. You know what I mean? Hey, these guys, hey, they wilding. Walmart wilding too, man. They got all kind of sales, trying to make sure they get all that bread, man. But this is what I basically been looking at, man. So nothing changed, still using the levels, but I had drew a trend line off of basically it rejected this 137,900. This is the 12-hour. So when it rejected, I drew a trend line down because you need two touches for a trend line to be valid. So you got one touch right here and one touch right here of the trend line, right? So basically, the next time it came back to this level, you would be looking for sales. So this is where, if you notice the trend line, right? So on this, it basically told us that it was going to be a sell the next time it came back because it rejected this 137,500. But when I drew the trend line, that was on October 21st. So if you notice, it took all the way to November 3rd to come back. So this trend line was already drawn, right? So last week, which I think that was the night of the election. They pushed this thing all the way back up, right, to tap the trend line perfectly. This thing tapped it perfectly, if you notice, and then rejected down, man. It's like a 2,000 plus pip trade from like 137, 375 all the way down to 135, 100, right? So it's like 2,400 pips, I think, or 2,500 pips. So this was a sale that I had my girlfriend get in. She took her first trade, man. She made like $100.
That's what's up.
Yeah, $300 account. She did a 50-cent lot. But if she would have held it, man, she would have made like 800.
Oh wow.
Because that thing dropped, but you know what I mean. But it's still not bad for the first trade, man.
Yeah.
So now, if they come back to this, if it tap this, so if they push it up, it's probably gonna tap like 137, 200 area, and then it's probably gonna drop again, man. So that's what I would be looking for. So basically, a rejection of 137, 200, because they'll probably push it up, and then they'll put in another lower high, and then it'll drop again. So that's what it's pretty much looking like right now. Now, obviously, there was an election, you know what I mean? The whole thing with Trump, Biden, whatever. So,
Yeah.
so now the market, we're going to see how the market reacts. But off this level, it's a pretty, you got a high percentage chance that when it comes up past 137, it's going to probably tap. It's like 137, 200, and you should get some kind of reaction, like pushing down, because it's already rejected and it's putting in lower highs, lower swing highs, basically, right? So, because if you, let me see if I can put this thing on here. Let me see if I can put it on here. I don't think I got it on here. Swing high low support pivot. So let's see, standard. I think that's it. Oh, I guess I ain't selected. Pivot high low, pivot points high low. Yeah. So if you notice, right? So now it took a while for this to basically give us, because it comes after the fact. So, but this is the pivot high low indicator, right? So basically it just tells you like when there's a swing high or a swing low in the market. So swing high is when the price pushes up and then it no longer goes past that point, right? It starts to drop. So since this is a 12-hour chart, it takes a while for it to formulate, but it's valid, right? So if you notice, it matches the trend line, like I was saying, right? So basically, all price did, you had your first rejection. So the next time it came back, basically the reason why I'm drawing these like this, it's easier to see where the rejection is going to occur, because, all right, so say like you were waiting for, notice how price rejected right here, right? Pretty much rejected 137,790. So the next time it comes back, you know you got a high percentage chance, right? And then, but over here, if you're waiting for a price to come back to 137,790 again, because you're like, oh, it rejected right here. You know what I mean? Oh, it rejected right here to 137,790. So the next time it come back, I'm gonna take a sell. However, it might not come back, right? Because this is already the third lower high that's forming. So you can notice you got a high that formed, then you got another lower high, right? Then over here, you got the next lower high. The only way that's gonna help you visually is to see the trend line. So if you draw a trend line going, you know, basically slanted across, right? Because you got two touches on the trend line, so that means it's valid. You can easily see that price, you know what I mean? It wasn't gonna pretty much go any higher. So that's a safe way to get in, like pretty much right in this area. Same thing here, right? It like hit it perfectly. It like tapped the trend line, right? Because if you're waiting for it to reject 137,500, you would have been 100 pips or 150 pips short. So you would have never got into the trade. You know what I mean? You would have waited because you're like, oh, I'm gonna wait for it to tap it. But it didn't tap it because it already had previous rejection a couple times before. You see what I'm saying? So that'll help you like visualize, like visually, like where it's a good indicator. And keep in mind, even though this looks nice right here, right? It looks nice, like you're like, oh man, this thing rejected right off the trend line. But remember, this was the election night. So price was literally, when it got up to that level, right before 7 o'clock, when they start covering the election, this thing was going up and down, trying to fake people out. You know what I mean? It's trying to fake people out. So a lot of people probably, they might even closed it. Like my girlfriend, she picked up like 250 pips, but she could have picked up 2,250 pips. You know what I mean? So if you like, you know, if she would have hold it. But that's basically what I'm noticing, is that the trend line is one of those things where it actually it'll help you visualize like the lower highs, right? So so just a heads up on that. Let me see this thing, man. You been looking at the chart, Joe?
Nah, not really, man. I be asking Jalisa, she been on it. She was on it last week.
Yeah, man. Tell her to look at this video, man, once I post this thing or whatever, man, because that'll help her like with these trend lines.
She looking at it right now.
Oh, okay. Ah!
Yeah, she looking at it right now.
Yeah, man. So basically that's basically what it is. So, and I can show you like another example, right? So let me zoom out. So I'm gonna show you on the daily chart. So remember, if you guys remember before, we were talking about how price, it moves in channels, right? So like, remember we had this upper trend line that's still there. We had this lower trend line that's still there, and price kind of moved in between the, you know, the trend line, right? So then it broke out. So that's how we knew that price was going to be bearish and we're looking for sales, because it broke out of this upward channel. This was an upward channel because if you notice the two lines, right? This line right here and this line right here, it's going upwards, right? and the price was sticking, it was staying within those levels. But then when it broke out of that channel, it means that they're probably trying to change the trend to a downtrend versus the uptrend. So there's always going to be a typical retest of the trend line, right? So this, even this upward trend line, if you notice right here, what happened? Price dropped out of the upper trend line, right? The upper channel. And then you had a retest, right? That tried to attempt to go back into the channel, but then it rejected. So that shows, and with a huge anchor candle, right? So that means that price is super bearish, right? So that's why these trades right here were easy sells, right? Because you know, all you got to do is wait for a couple of rejection areas, and then you know that you're looking for it. So you got one rejection that formed with a long wick. You got the next rejection that formed with a long wick. So you know that you're looking to go short because there's no momentum to push the price higher. So the next time it tapped this 137,500, you could have took a sell down, right? And that was like a 3,000 pip trade. So so that's, it's just easier to visualize, and that's what I noticed. So let me get out of this trend line. We'll go to like another example just to see it. See like another swing high like situation. All right, so basically, right? So to make it easier for you to see, right? So like on this day, this was March 19th. So this is like a little while back, but it's still, you know, it happens all the time, right? So you had a big push up from down here, right? It went up and it tapped a little bit above 148,790. So you see that that's the high, right? So your first reaction is going to be, oh man, when it comes back to 148,790, I'm gonna take a sell, right? Because it already rejected here in the past, right? However, it never came back. So if you drew a trend line from the high, right, to the closest point, right? The closest rejection wick, which would be right here. So notice what happens, right? So all right, you missed this first rejection, but when price came back up and it formed this rejection, right? That's 2 points, right? One touch here equals 2 points. So you know you got a valid trend line down. So you're gonna wait for it to come back up to the trend line, right? And you take a sell. And look at this right here, right off 148. So price rejected 148 right here. And then you had a nice sell down from 148, and look, it went all the way down to 144. So a 4,000 pip drop. So even if you had a $1 lot, you would have made 4,000. If you had a 50-cent lot, you would have made $2,000, right? Just by seeing the structure. Because remember, the thing is, you could have been like, oh man, like price. Let me take this trend line off real quick. All right, so say you're like waiting for it, right? You got the rejection, you got 2 rejections, and you can even see it right here. If you think about what I was saying before, right? Like how many rejections you got a high, right? Like a green black, then you got another green black, and then you got the next green black. And then what happens after that? That's basically 3 lower highs, right? You got a high, lower high, and then boom, you got a big drop down. So you can look at it that way too. But so there's multiple ways to do it. But basically what'll happen is that all right, so you had this first rejection, right? You had this first rejection right here. Now what if you're like, oh man, I'm about to get in, you know, I want to get into this sell. So like I said, if you'd have waited until it came back up here, you would have missed it, right? You're like, oh man. However, you can be patient, right? And just kind of wait for it to show you the rejection, right? A second lower high, because as soon as you know that this is a second lower high right here, right? You know that you're looking for price not to go above this level, right? If the downtrend is a true downtrend that's going to happen, right? It's not going to put in typically a higher than this, right? Because you already got one green black, 2 green black, right? So you're looking for it to continue to drop. So if price goes above this high, right here, like then you're looking to be out of the trade, right? Because that means that it could be going to try to put in higher highs and keep going higher. So, but once you get this rejection, this is basically your resistance area, right? So meaning that once it came in this area, there's nobody buying at this level, right? So the banks aren't buying at this level, which means that the prices, there's a high percentage chance that the price is going to drop because you already had one, right? You had one here, one green, black here, another green, black here. And then even if you miss those, right? Like I said, even if you miss, you know, you could have waited for that to set up. Just be patient and wait, right? Because you don't have to rush into a trade. Draw your trend line down, and then boom, you're right in the money, right? So, and notice how each touch of the trend line is a lower touch, right? You got one right here off 148,790. You got one right here off 148,400 area. The next one's off of 148, and then you got to collapse. So just basically knowing the market structure, right? So that's basically what it is. You know, with these. So hopefully that makes sense, like what I'm saying. It's pretty we talked about this before. It's just a matter of like I said, sometimes you'll miss a trade if you're waiting for it to give you a perfect like entry. But if you draw the trend line will basically help you with the area, right? So even up here, this is off 149, 490, 500 level, right? So if you draw your trend line going down, right? 2 touches of a trend line make it valid. So this trend line is valid. So the reason why price did not go back up to this level, because you already had 2 rejections, right? You already had 2 rejections of the 148, 149, 500 level, right? So if you notice, because the high right here is 149, 490. And technically, if I drew, I just don't have a level. I don't know why I don't have a level in there, so I can draw it right now. But that's typically, that's the 500 level, right? So, and you can see it actually perfect. Now, to be honest, if you look to the left, because you always got to look to the left to see what happened when price got in this area before. The last time price was here, right, was right here. So price came back to 149,500 after this first rejection, right? And it dropped. So there's a high percentage chance the next time it comes to this area, it's going to drop, right? So to be honest, I would have took a sell right here off the 149,500 because when I look left, I see the rejection. So that's a high percentage chance trade, right? So this first drop would have came from 149,500 down to 146. So, I mean, when you think about it, you know what I mean? That's 3,500 pips. So that's a nice trade. Then you got the next one where you got the next attempt to come back up here, right? Now, here's the thing. This is what you got to look at, right? So price, you're going to look for the major resistance levels, right? So we know 148,790, 149, right? So it already rejected above 149,500 a couple of times, right? And then you got this strong rejection here. So if you notice, you could have took a sell here because off 148,790 area, because there's momentum here. The last time it came in this area, there's a pretty big candle, right? It's an anchor candle because it dropped below a couple levels, right? So that's a good indicator that, okay, hey, boom, it's going to drop, then it's going to come back up and retest. It's going to fake people out, people thinking that it's a buy. Oh man, it's going to break out. But you know that you got a trend line going here. You got an area that it rejected before, so there's a good percentage chance that it's going to drop. So it's straight fake people out, right? So if you would have got in right here, even if you held down to here, you still would have picked up 1,000 pips. If you would have been patient and held it though, like I said, right, 148,790 down to 144. And actually, look at this big drop from up top. So from 149, look how long if you would have held this. This would have been from November 8th of 2019. Look at the collapse, right? All the way down to 131. So it's crazy, man. It's like 12,000 pips. Or actually, my bad. It's 19,000 pips. So $1 lot would have made you 19,000. A 50-cent lot would have made you 9,000, 9,500. You know what I mean? So, but even when I zoom in, so look at this right here, right? Even when I zoom in, notice what you got right here, right? You got one high, 149,720. You got the next lower high, 149,514, and then you got the next lower high, 149.490. So 3 lower highs equals a downtrend, right? Like price is dropping. So even when you look at it from that standpoint, and if I drew, let me hide this real quick. So if I drew a trend line across from here, right, to the second touch, which would be like right here, right? Like you still had trade opportunities, because once you got the second rejection, you know, when price came back up here, right, you're going to look for a sell. So if you would have got in right here, 300, 149, 310, and wrote it down, that would have been a nice trade. They basically came back up. They tapped 500. They faked people out, right? They faked people out. They had one little small baby candle above the trend line to fake people out, thinking that it was going to be a buy. Came back up and tapped it again, and then collapsed, right, all the way down. So it's just looking at the market structure to know like what's going on, right? So, and then you just got to hold it, because you guys got to understand, right? This is the 12-hour chart. So, and I got a friend that trades and all that, and you know, he might not, you know, everybody trades a different way. So I trade off the 12-hour. I trade off the 12-hour. He might not trade off the 12-hour. A lot of people trade off the 4-hour. The 12-hour for me is the clearest chart. You know what I mean? It's the clearest chart, because you know that it's a strong area. So if it already had rejection a couple times before, there's a good percentage chance that it's going to reject again. You know what I mean? You guys got any questions on anything so far?
Nah, man.
Yeah, man. So, but I'm gonna try to go hard on this thing. Probably towards the. Well, I hope I can get some trades this week, because it's been crazy with these events, man. But definitely next week. You know what I mean? Definitely gonna look at some next week. Once we kind of get out of this whole, you know, we got an event on Saturday again, and then I pretty much got a free week the following week, so the week of the 15th. So that's, you know, I'll definitely try to do some trading then, and then yeah, man, and then, you know, go from there. But that's basically what I'm looking at right now.
Okay.
You know, from the levels, man. So now keep in mind the 12-hour chart. So let's go to the 4-hour, right? Let's go to the 4-hour. So this is the 4-hour chart. So remember, you got a lot more candles, right? That's the other thing. You got a lot more noise on the 4-hour chart. So it's still going to give you the same trade, but you got to be able to really chart it out and see the rejection, right? So it might be multiple rejections on here. So look, you got 1, 2. So you got a high here, right? You got a lower high here. Then you got a lower high here, right? Which tells you that this should be a sell. Now, you got so many times to get in. Look at it, right? Because you know, if you got the trend line, you got so many times to get in or whatever. But the thing is, you got to be patient, because you're gonna see a drop, and then you're gonna see it come back, right? And like, oh, this is not. You don't want to get in right here, because you're like, oh man, like, you know what I mean? I missed this trade up here. You want to get the best possible buying or selling opportunity. The best possible selling opportunity is off the trend line, and I'm gonna tell you guys. So it's easy to say this, because it's not, you know what I mean? Like, but emotionally, you got to be able to wait, knowing that you got a bigger trade coming. Because look, so say like you would have took this sell, you still would have made money on this trade, right? Because it came from like 137,300 down to 135, so about 2,000 pips. But when you look, so it's about 2,000. But the safer trade is up here off the trend line, because you want to be where the banks are at, right? So that's the thing. Now, you still can trade this, because you got one high, the second lower high, and then the third lower high right here, right? So you got a green, black, and then a green, black. So that's telling you that, hey, this is a downtrend, whatever the case may be. So you still could have caught this trade, but the odds of you catching it, if you're trading a London session, you probably could have caught it because, you know, this candle right here closed at 1 o'clock. This candle opened at 1 o'clock. So you would have to be up basically at 1 o'clock in the morning to catch this sell. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. That's the other thing. Now, if you're patient, this was October 15th. So basically, you got your alerts. You got your trend line drawn. You can set an alert, by the way, right off the trend line. If I right click, see it says add alert on trend line. You can set it right on the trend line. So as soon as it goes to the trend line, it'll shoot you a text or email or whatever, and then you can put it in, or you just kind of look at the level, and you can put in a sell or buy order the same way you normally would. So that's the thing. So if you got in here, this is a 9 o'clock candle, right? Boom, it came up, tapped the trend line, 137,600, all the way down to 134,402, right? So that's 3,200 pips. So 3,200 pips versus about 2,000, right? So you had a bigger trade up here. You just had to wait. You know what I mean? And it's a lower risk trade because, and this is a trade where you probably want to take a bigger lot size because you know that, oh, I already got rejection over here. You know what I mean? I already got a second rejection. I'm going to take a higher lot size. Now, if it breaks out above this and it taps like 790, so you probably want to be out of this trade. So you would only have like 150 pip stop loss, roughly somewhere around there. Because if it breaks out of this and it continues going higher, you don't want to be in this trade because it's going to put in an uptrend, right? But the reason why we're looking for sells is because we already had 1, 2, 3, right? Technically, and technically I'll say 1, 2. You had one high, lower high right here, right? You even had a third lower high and a fourth lower high. So when price comes back, they always try to send it back. It might not feel like it's going to go back to the upper area, but before a big drop, 99% of the time, they'll send it back to where the price, somewhere in the area where price rejected before that started the whole downtrend, right? They'll send it back to fake people out just so they can, hey, they can suck more people in. And then, so this was a failed attempt, right? And then you got to collapse. And then the same thing again, right? So that's basically what's going on. So, and on top of that, if you guys remember, this is a 4-hour chart, but you got an EMA cross to the downside too. So remember about the EMA cross. So notice how the red line, which is the 14 EMA right here, is crossed below the other two areas, which is the 15 to 200 EMA. So that tells you too that price is in a downtrend. So once you get in up here, look how good your entry is, right? Look how good your entry is. Your entry is so good that you got in up here off 137,650, but price doesn't form an EMA cross until like 136,500. So once you see that cross, you're gonna hold it even longer because now price is gonna drop more, right? So you got to keep that in mind, that you got your entry so good because you saw the market structure off the levels, the rejection, right? And the trend line that gives you more confirmation that price is going to drop lower. So you could even hold it even longer. So right now, price is in a downtrend. Even on the daily chart, on a 12-hour chart, you got an EMA cross, right? So we'll have to kind of wait and see now. But like I said, this area might get tapped again, the 137, because it was because of the election and all that. So they might test this area and then drop it lower. So that's what I'm seeing right now. On a weekly chart, look at the weekly chart. So even on the weekly chart, you got where it's looking like price, like I said, it'll push up, tap this area, and then continue to drop down. Because look at this huge candle right here. Look at this huge bearish candle on the weekly chart. So let's see on a monthly chart. This is the monthly chart. See on the monthly chart, you even got an EMA cross to the downside. See this right here? The the red 14 is crossing over underneath the blue 50 EMA. And this is the 200 up here. So it's a full EMA cross. So that's why you got a lot of selling pressure right now. Price down here, it tapped the 14, it looks like, and it's probably going to push, it could push lower. So that's what I'm saying. They might push it up a little bit and then push it lower. At some point soon, I don't know how long, but they're going to have to drop it back down to 124 to basically fill this gap, right? There's a huge gap right here that they're going to have to push price down here. There's going to be something that drops the market down this low, and then they'll push it up. So just a heads up. This gap happened on February 3rd. So actually, sorry. No, March 2nd. Sorry, March 2nd. The gap happened. So let me go to a 6-month chart. Yeah, this thing straight bearish overall, man. On the higher time frames, it's bearish. So let me see. There's somebody else trying to have fun. It's lost.
Yo, yeah, man, I hit the freaking button by mistake, man.
No, that's all good, man. So hey, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. So right now, that's basically what it's doing. Is, you know what I mean? I would anticipate, you know what I mean? So I really wouldn't be looking for sales until price, you know, comes back in this area. This is going to be where the best sales are. You know what I mean? And you can look at the size of these candles with the rejection wicks, right? So the longer the rejection wick, the stronger the selling, right? So when it comes back in this area, you definitely want to probably look for sales, because look how hard it rejected the last time it was here. So now all you got is basically some drops, and then you got some buying down here, because the last time it was here. When you look to the left, the last time it was in this area, it bounced back up to the trend line, right? Or it bounced back up and put in a higher high. So that's how the trend line started. So when it comes back in this area, you might get a drop. So, but that's what I'll be looking for this week, man. Like I said, I don't know. We'll see what I can catch. If anything, you know what I mean, I'll probably let you guys know in group text or whatever, like kind of like what I'm looking at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. Let me see. Yeah, man. But it's 12-hour, man. This thing is crazy, man. thing to give you, you know what I mean? That thing to give you some layups, man. Like you just have to be patient, man, and wait, because sometimes, you know what I mean, you get frustrated. Like there's times now that I turn on the phone, like I wake up, try to go to work, it'd be like 4:50, man, in the morning, and you know, I just had missed the trade, man. You know what I mean? Like it's like, yeah, man, like because it happened during the London session or whatever. Or there's times where sometimes right at 5 o'clock, exactly at 5 a.m., man, you catch the trade. You know what I mean? So you just got to kind of wait to see that it's set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this one, this rejection pretty much happened somewhere between 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. You know what I mean? This particular candle. But the other thing is, if you guys notice, what you can look for notice how like the body of this candle, the green candle and the body of the black candle, they almost reject 500 like perfectly. If you notice, look at the reaction right here. See how the body of it closed like right below 500? So that's when you know that it's respecting that area, man, pretty good from a resistance like standpoint. You know what I mean? Same thing here. If you notice right here, when this green candle closed right here, it closed right below. So if you notice, I put my cursor on it, it closed at it actually closed exactly at 136,500, right? So, and then the black candle, you know, same thing, right? So that's how you know that the area is gonna hold, you know what I mean? Like from that standpoint, like that you're looking for sales. So you could have caught, you know, but like I said, the main trade though, the best trade possibility would have been up here right off the trend line. This thing. Like right here, right? Because you already had, when you look to the left, you had multiple rejections, 1, 2, 3. So right off the trend line, this is like the best place in this area to sell. So that way, you know what I mean? You know that you got a high percentage trade. You don't got to worry about it tapping 500 because it already rejected 500 multiple times, you know what I mean, to the left. So it might not go quite back to 500. But this is a way for you to know that you're taking like a high probability like trade. You know what I mean? Because it's easy to be like, oh man, if it don't tap 500, I'm not gonna take the trade. But the thing is, if it already rejected it multiple times before and it had big rejection, it might not go all the way back up to 500. So you wanted to get close as you can to the trend line area, then you take it. Like from that standpoint, if it breaks out above 500, like you know what I mean, you can close it out. You know, but that's some of the things that I'm noticing, man. But other than that, man, I mean, that's pretty much it. Unless you guys had questions or anything like that.
If you notice it, then show me that cat.
This dude, wow, man. Hey, I hear you. Hey, question is, hey, the question is, when you try to hop on those charts, that's what the question is.
Hey, this boy back to the slave shit right now, man.
Nah. Hey, you can trade in the morning. Hey, you working at night, you can trade in the morning.
Hey, that's the thing. What time I get off, hey, that joke is ready to get on to London.
Hey.
Man, just start hopping on that jump for real, man. For real. As a matter of fact, man, I'm gonna have to upgrade this freaking plan, dog. Like I said, that $5 a month plan, man, that just gonna include the 12 hours.
Yeah, don't.
Say that again? Oh, the 12-hour chart?
Yeah. I think he said he don't got it on his plan.
Oh, yeah. So it's up to y'all, man. If y'all want to do another one or y'all want to, because this thing, I got less than a minute.
Or, I'm going to be on Bible study. I got to go on at 7:30.
All right. Yeah, no problem, man. All right, so I'll catch y'all on the next one, man.
All right, dear. Appreciate that, bro.
All right, man. Y'all take it easy.
All right, you too.